Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another episode of our Construction Quality Week 2020 Quality Talks with quality professionals. My name is Hani Mari. I'm your host and Outreach Director of PMI GLC and the President of CQM Community. We have a very special guest for you today. We have Mr. Hussain Bandukwala. He is the founder of the PMO Virtual Summit and the owner of the Parvaz consulting firm. And we are going to discuss the benefits of PMOs improve the quality of our projects. You can introduce yourself, Hussein, to our guest. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here, and I appreciate being a guest on during this week. So thank you so much for that. Like you mentioned, I'm the owner of Parvaz Consulting, and I founded the PMO Virtual Summit as well as the PMO Huddle, which is my podcast featuring PMO guests and PMO leaders. Through Parvaz Consulting, my goal is to help organizations level up their project delivery. And I do that by rejuvenating PMOs as well as leveling up and upskilling their teams. In addition to that, LinkedIn Learning, which is LinkedIn's online education platform, requested me to put in my PMO and project management approach into a course, which you can find on LinkedIn Learning. And that gets about 4,500 unique monthly views. So pretty happy and excited about that. I've got another one coming up pretty soon. And as soon as that gets released, you'll hear more about it on LinkedIn.
That's actually, I think, the way that I found you on LinkedIn is through your course on PMO, which I found very interesting and very insightful, actually. And I'm actually one of the advocates for having PMOs in organizations, because I believe that's how project managers can get together in order to synergize on improving the way that they do their business. So can you tell us more about what is a PMO and how can the construction industry benefit from it to improve the quality of their projects?
Absolutely. And that's a great question because a lot of people have different definitions for PMOs, right? In my opinion, now PMOs can be a role or a function or a department within an organization, depending on the size of the organization. It's really an entity to make sure that the right things are happening at the right time by the right people in the right way, right? So just the way you have a department for marketing doing all things marketing, you have an IT department for all things IT, you have a finance department for all things finance. You need to have something within the organization that sort of is responsible for all things project management. Now, I understand that for smaller organizations, you might just have a bunch of project managers who are doing, who just managing projects and just doing the trick. But as the organization starts growing in size, you'll find that more and more project managers doing things their own way will result more into chaos than more into a calm, operationalized, streamlined way, which is what project management is all about, where you're bringing in some level of standardization in terms of how projects should be delivered in a predictable, consistent way, and some level of governance to assure the quality of projects are being delivered in a way that is consistent with the expectations and up to the par, up to quality of the stakeholders and the leadership as well.
So a lot of people in our industry usually don't like to have somebody tell them how to do their job, and the way that they usually prefer to say, like, they have different project management styles and they don't want anybody else to tell them how to do their job. How do you think we can implement PMO and getting people to understand the benefits of it and also agree to get that established in our companies?
So, that's an interesting challenge, and the way that I would really address this is sort of, we're not suggesting that you totally change your style from a project management perspective. What we're saying is, as an organization, as a collective unit, we need to define what our way of delivering projects is, and let's stick to that. Right now, that can evolve over time, and it should, because if it doesn't, that means you're going stale and you're probably not meeting the organization's needs. But You've got to go ahead and start somewhere where you're baselining how you're doing things and then adding on to that. And one thing that I really tell a lot of project management office leaders is that when they're building up the PMO, get the buy-in and inputs from all stakeholders. And for me, there are three types of PMO stakeholders. One is your leadership, one is your peers, so other department leaders, and the third is actually your project managers and your PM analysts and your coordinators. And a lot of people forget asking project managers what are your challenges that you're facing in delivering projects? How would you like to deliver projects? When you start asking them for their opinions and feedback, they'll feel that they're a part of the organization, part of the PMO, and as a result, the buy-in will be stronger.
So I see that you're also a lean management certified person, and we always encourage our industry, the construction industry, to become a little bit more lean into their processes so they can look at the value streaming of their processes and cut down the waste and anything that is causing hurdles in their project management and performing the processes of project management. How do you think this concept of being lean and adding maybe a PMO on top of the stuff that they already have works together, and how would that improve their quality just by adding another department or another step to the work that they do?
The PMO should be evolving organically, and it should be focusing on starting small with a big vision, but start small and then grow accordingly, right? And to me, when you're looking at developing and setting up a PMO, is first identifying what are the areas of project management that the organization really needs to be addressing first. Is it managing the schedules? Is it streamlining the work intake process? Is it managing the risks and issues? Is it totally getting a great handle on the financials? Is it making transparent communication? Is it all of them? Is it a subset of them? Focusing on that and then evolving along that lines, I think that is also not only touches upon lean, but also touches upon the notion of continuous improvement. And as a result, you're trying to go ahead and streamline the processes and reducing waste accordingly.
One of the issues that would come up is, for example, like I said, I'm a firm advocate of having PMOs. Now, as Parvaz consulting, when you go and do consulting to companies that have different maybe technical aspects, or they have different technical maybe industries, and you face somebody like in construction, how would you be able to serve them best and they never had a PMO before, or they don't have a PMP in their company?
That's a great question, right? So I mean, the approach that I have is totally industry agnostic, because it really focuses on the organization that we're looking at. So if it's a construction company, if it's an IT company, if it's a healthcare company, it doesn't matter. What we do is we first understand and identify who the stakeholders of the set PMO will be. We go ahead and meet them, we interview them, we understand what their challenges and pain points are from a project management perspective. Where are they struggling? What are their wishes? What would they like to see? What would they like to go away? And then we compile all of that together, assess it, and prioritize a roadmap based on that. Based on that roadmap, we come up with recommendations and then start with the rollout, right? So again, it's a framework that I've personally used across multiple companies, different sizes of companies, different industries of companies, and that's something that I teach on my LinkedIn Learning course as well, which gets viewed, like I mentioned earlier, about 4,500 people monthly from across the globe, from a variety of industries. And they use that to not only set up the PMO from scratch, but a lot of PMOs want to go ahead and optimize themselves or rejuvenate themselves, or redefine what their value to their organization is, or perhaps even expand to different regions or departments within the organization.
So that's actually the way I look at it as well, is that first you do the gap analysis and try to find the areas that they need to improve.
Right.
And then you provide the training that they need in order to do it themselves. And then you coach them so they can perform the work on their own as you teach them how to complete their own task and their own work. So that's exactly what I was thinking, the best way that we can implement maybe a PMO in a construction industry setting is to have a mentor like you that has seen it for different industries. They know what where problem areas could be and what are the typical solutions for those are, and kind of customize it to the need of that organization. Well,
Yeah.
as you know, we are in the construction quality week, and we are trying to have as many quality talk with as many people in the profession. What is the legacy and what is the key takeaway that you wish our audience to have from this short talk that we're having today?
So, I'm glad you asked that question because let me share with you a bit of a story on how I got into this, right? I mean, so, I have about a decade and a half of management technology consulting experience generally. And my PMO experience is sort of, been derived from that, and all of the work that I've been doing has stemmed off of that. But one thing that really got me going was a stat from a few years ago where, 50% of PMOs would succeed in 3 years. So if I went ahead and set up a PMO today and you asked me, Hassan, will this PMO succeed or will it fail? And all I could do is flip a coin and say heads it would fail, tails it would succeed. Right. So literally the success rate of the PMOs was the probability of a coin toss. And you and I know that the value of a PMO to an organization is far more than that. So the legacy that I want to leave behind is make sure that PMOs within organizations are far more successful than that stat of 50% that we see. And beyond that, the PMO leaders themselves graduating from not just being project management leaders, but executive leadership leaders within their organization, because they feel they have an absolute vantage point where they have a great understanding of what's happening within the organization across multiple departments, and they're well poised to be taking on some key leadership roles within the organizations. I've seen that in the past. Some of them have been clients, some of them have been acquaintances, and it's been very, very heartening to see their progress as individuals as well.
That's very good point. The point about leadership is very good one, that PMOs are actually the best places to make sure that the leaders in the organization can collaborate and work together to improve the whole organization together. Great points, Hussein. I love the short talk that we had, and I know that we can keep talking about this subject for hours and hours, and hopefully in future we'll have more of these talks. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation. I hope that we see you for our November 20th event next Friday.
Sounds great. Thanks again for having me, and good luck with all of it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.